It has been 4 years now since I first picked up a book to read. Over these years, my love for books has transformed into something special. I've become an avid reader, usually of non-fiction. I personally digest this genre of books better, and has proven to be more beneficial in many aspects of my life. Now, as we are in the fresh few months of 2021, I thought it'd be a great idea to make a list of 5 books that everyone should read this year. Now, I really had to deeply think about what kind of books would go on this list, especially the crazy year that we had last year. I wanted to make this list of books that can help give people perspective, can make them more resilient in psychological and emotional ways, give them more gratitude also, and even help them in social environments. Now, before I do start though, people who have not heard of Goodreads, get on it, it's free. The best way I can describe it is like Goodreads is like Facebook, but for books. You add friends and you see the books they're reading, and Goodreads actually suggests you the books that you can read based on your algorithm. Now you can search for authors and also select the books that you want to read. You can also set reading challenges for the year. For example, last year I had a goal to read 20 books and I exceeded that by reading 26. 6 more. I personally think having a reading challenge gives you a better incentive to finish a goal and read as many books that you can that year. So get on Goodreads, trust me, you won't regret it. The first book, How to Think Like a Roman Emperor by Donald Robertson. Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius was the final famous Stoic philosopher of the ancient world. Stoicism itself is a very broad term which consists of numerous teachings such as viewing things objectively, extracting away value judgments, living according to values and virtues, and many more. Now, if you're interested in Stoicism, research more about it, read more about it. I'd probably need a whole different video just to explain that. This book is about Marcus Aurelius, who was a Roman emperor and the most famous Stoic of all time, written by cognitive psychotherapist Donald Robertson. Robertson infuses aspects of CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, with Stoicism throughout the whole book. He has philosophy mixed with psychology, and it's just served to you in an amazing way, in a very eloquent manner. Again, CBT, I'm not gonna go too deep into it. It basically stands for cognitive behavioral therapy. It focuses on challenging and confronting unhelpful behavioral patterns, thought patterns. Robertson obviously knows a lot about CBT as he actually teaches it in his psychotherapy, and plus he's a practicing Stoic, which makes the book even more beautiful. The book is full of deep, thoughtful quotes, passages from Stoicism, passages from CBT, psychological evidence, clinical literature, and it's something like I've never read before. Now, if I had to choose one passage from this book, it would be on page 73. Robertson writes, "As an aspiring Stoic, you should begin by practicing deliberately describing events more objectively and in less emotional terms. Epictetus tells his students if they can avoid being swept along with false and upsetting impressions, they will remain grounded in the objective representations they initially perceived. Epictetus once said, 'It is not things that upset us, but our judgments about them.'" And I just find that so beautiful. And looking at things through an objective manner, perception can sometimes be very distorted. We see what we want to see. For example, I work part-time alongside my studies in hospitality. When I first started, customers, some of them were very intense, and when they were used to be very rude, it really used to get to me. I used to come home and I'm like, I should have said that, I should have said this, I should have stood up for myself, I'm weak, I'm this, I'm that. But I realized that these were impressions that I was putting on myself. And I'm not saying that I don't get angry now or get frustrated by people, but I have a quicker recovery rate from those situations. It is not things that upset us, but our judgments about them. I was putting these judgments into every scenario. And now when I've completely embedded that philosophy in my life, it has been so fruitful in all areas of my life. Book 2, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. Man's Search for Meaning is a 1946 book by Viktor E. Frankl, describing his experiences as a prisoner in Nazi concentration camps during World War II. Now, this book is probably my favorite book on the Holocaust. Viktor E. Frankl was a psychiatrist also. The way he writes in this book, you can tell that this guy knows the psyche from the in and out. He describes all these crazy experiences that he had at the camps, but then also embeds it with psychological teachings. He has all these amazing analogies throughout the book, and he comes up with this idea called logotherapy. Now, in a nutshell, logotherapy means finding meaning in life. Then he describes 3 different things in which people can use or do use logotherapy through. Number 1 is work. Number 2 is through people. And number 3 is through their suffering. If you actually read more about this and more about logotherapy, your mind will be blown and you'll actually understand why people do things they do in life. What drives them, what gives them meaning. Seeing how logotherapy or the idea of it got him through the camps was just a marvelous thing to read. Just a very dark book, but it's very profound. Now, one of my favorite passages from the book is when Viktor E. Frankl is describing people who have lost hope in the camps. He writes, "The prisoner who had lost faith in his future was doomed. With his loss of his belief in the future, he also lost his spiritual hold. He let himself decline and become subject to mental and physical decay. He simply gave up. There he remained, lying in his own excreta, which means feces. Nothing bothered him anymore." Man's Search for Meaning, it will give you so much perspective. Book 3, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, this book's special. I can see why some people get fooled by the cover. You might insinuate that there is a superficial aspect about this book, that you have to act a certain way to make friends and influence people. Its underlining theme is contrary to what people believe it to be. There is no fallacy in its teachings, and there are numerous ways on how people can be genuine and have genuine relationships without having any narcissistic or fake personality towards themselves. This is Dale Carnegie's most famous book. If I'm being super honest, I was very introverted for most of my life. This book was one of the few books that had a lot to do in me becoming super extroverted and helped me on how I could act in social situations. Made me more of a genuine person and helped me relate to people more on a deeper level. One of my favorite passages is on page 56 when Dale Carnegie is talking about how human beings are usually very selfish, or we always look after our self-interest rather than being selfless. Carnegie writes, "When you see a group photograph that you are in, whose picture do you look at first? If we merely try to impress people and get people interested in us, we will never have many true, sincere friends. Friends, real friends, are not made that way." Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Trust me, trust me, trust me. This book is not what you think it is. I know I've heard a lot of people say, no, it's this, it's that, just without even reading it. Give it a shot. This is a perfect example of don't judge a book by its cover. You won't regret it. And honestly, it's one of my 5 books that I would recommend for people to read in 2021. Book 4, How to Deal with Adversity by Christopher Hamilton. Now, this book is part of the School of Life series. The School of Life is an organization built to help find calm, self-understanding, resilience, and connection through their books. Now, they have numerous amount of books that start with how to, for example, How to Stay Sane, which is one of my favorites. In this case, it's How to Deal with Adversity. And this, I would say, is my favorite edition or the type of how-to book. Christopher Hamilton, whose work I've never been familiar with before. I think he became big through the School of Life edition. He explores how we face trials and tribulations in everyday life, how these trials and tribulations, adversity shapes us as people. Drawing upon history, philosophy, illness, death, Christopher Hamilton explores all these kind of areas in life. By quoting ancient philosophers, all integrates within problems such as family, money. This book is just full of so many different topics, and at times it does get overwhelming sometimes, but he just addresses it in such a nice and eloquent way, which makes the reader just understand what he's trying to say. Each page is just full of golden nuggets of wisdom. My favorite passage is from page 64, when Christopher Hamilton is talking about anger. If we are angry, we should wait to act, because once we cool down, a more moderate response may seem more sensible. Then he suggests that anger is nearly always a result of our feeling slighted or ignored. So we should seek to develop a sense of indifference to such feelings. Like Dionysius, who when he said that some people were laughing at him, he replied, "But I don't feel laughed at." How to Deal with Adversity by Christopher Hamilton. A great book if you are looking to discover nuggets of wisdom. Book 5, You Are The Placebo by Joe Dispenza. This book is being written by Dr. Joe, who's a neuroscientist. So you know that this book is gonna have some crazy information. Dr. Joe does more than simply explore the history and the physiology of the placebo effect. He explains how strong the placebo effect is, and how much our thoughts can govern our being. The best way I can describe the placebo effect is, for example, if someone was to take a pill that they thought that the pill would do something that they're looking for. If the pill was a sugar pill and they ingest it, the pill could still react in a way that could help the person the way they wanted to be helped. This is due to the body changing its chemistry when it's ingesting the pill. So the pill is basically doing what the medication would have caused, even though it's a sugar pill. It's the body that's making the pill or the effect of the pill so strong. This example just goes to show how strong our thoughts can be. The book has numerous brain scans that Dr. Joe shows throughout his whole book, and information through his workshops, and actual case studies where people have healed themselves out of depression, anxiety, chronic disorders, bipolar disorders. The book ends with a how-to meditation for challenging beliefs. The last, I think, 80 pages of the book is just full of meditation techniques, which I actually used for 6 months at a time, and it was very beneficial. You Are The Placebo combines the latest research in neuroscience, hypnosis, psychology, behavioral conditioning, quantum physics to basically promote its teachings. That you are the placebo. You have the power to change your thoughts, to change your thought patterns, to change your conditioning. One of my favorite passages in the book is when Joe Dispenza is talking about neuroplasticity, a formation when your brain is creating new neural networks. This usually happens when we're learning something new. When you learn new things and begin to think in new ways, you're making your brain fire in different sequences, patterns, and combinations. That is, you are activating many diverse networks of neurons, and whenever you make your brain work differently, you're changing your mind. As you begin to think outside the box, new thoughts should lead to new choices, new behaviors, new experiences, and new emotions. Now your identity is also changing. You Are The Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Well, there you go, guys. That's the 5 books that everyone should read in 2021. I hope these books give you perspective, a fresh outlook in life, give you gratitude, even help you in adversity. I mean, they definitely did for me. Comment on this comment section below if you know these books, if you read them, or if you're going to read them, and let me know what you think of them when you do read them. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, and keep reading. Thank you again, guys. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Anmol. I usually make videos and vlogs. I get my ideas from the great books that I read, the pieces of film and art that I see, and the places I'm lucky enough to travel to. Now, my main goal is that you learn something new after watching any one of my videos. So thank you, and make sure to subscribe, share it with your friends, and hit that notification button on so every time I upload a video, you get it also. Thank you.